Hello, this is Vivian Watts. I'm here to show you how to make a 3D layered shadow box card using your own dies. And today I'm going to be showing you these two examples, a rectangle one and the arch one. And I'm also using Concord & Knife and Spellbinders stamp and die sets. Now you can use any dies you have as long as you have a straight side and bottom edge. Today I'm using a rectangle die from Honeybees, a large and the next size down. I'm also using a arch die from Diamond Press. So I'm taking the largest die and I'm using the third largest one. This way it will form a nice frame. So we're going to use the largest die to cut our back piece. So here I am showing you the sample for a rectangle one and a arch one. So now we have the first piece. The second piece we're going to be cutting will be our frame for our shadow box. We will need to use both pieces to cut this frame. So let's say you're using an arch die like this one. You'll be using the largest die and then putting the smaller die in the center, making sure all sides are even. Run it through your die cutting machine. You should be getting a frame that looks like this one. So let's say you're using a rectangle die. Then you put the large die at the bottom and the smaller one in the center. Again, making sure all sides are even. Run it through your die cutting machine and you should be getting a nice frame like this one. Alright, now we're going to need to cut our side pieces. Before we do that, I'm showing you the back and the top of the frame of our shadow box. So for today's example, I will be using the arch die because it's a little bit more complicated. So I think it'll be a good, once you can master this one, you should be able to use any of the layer dies that you have. So as long as you have a straight side and bottom edge, you can make a nice shadow box. To cut the sides, you're gonna cut two pieces. The length of the piece will be the length of your straight edge. Now because we have a arch die, we're only measuring the straight edge. In this case, it's 3.5. So that will be our length and our width will be 1.25. And you need to cut two pieces. The next step is we're going to score a 1/4 inch from both of the long ends. You want to make sure you create a nice crease and you want to fold it and really press it down because this is going to help us form our shape for our shadow box. Alright, so we have two pieces done. Because this is the arch card, it will be nice to check to make sure that it fits properly. I'm checking with the back and the frame to make sure our size is not too long for our top frame. And it does look pretty good. Now it's time to cut our layers. To determine the size of our layers, you want to measure the bottom edge of your die plus half an inch. That would be the length of your layer. And for the width, I like to cut one with 2 inches in width and the other one at 1.25. In today's example, because our bottom edge is 4 inches long. So adding half an inch, that makes it 4.5 inches long for our layers. And the reason for it to be longer is because we need to score both ends. That will be because we will be attaching the ends to our sides. So once we have those 2 pieces cut, we're going to score it 1/4 inch from both of the short ends. All right, I think we have our pieces now. We have our back, we have our 2 sides, we have the 2 layers, and we have the top. So if you are already creating your project, you may want to coordinate the back and your layers at this point before you start gluing and attaching everything together. For example, if you're doing sky and grass, then this is the time to do the coloring before you, because it's going to be harder for you to try to color or do anything else once you attach everything. But I also suggest that you make a skeleton or a card base when the first time you do this, so you get used to the process. All right, so now our first step is to attach the side to our back piece. I am using the double-sided tape and to glue these 2 pieces together, matching my edge of my back piece to the score line. One thing about using this tape, because it is 1/4 inch in width, so it's perfect for this project. However, once you press down, because you're using this glue tape, it will move. So make sure you line everything up perfectly before you press down. And ask me how I know this. All right, now we're going to attach our layers. We're going to start with the largest one first. Putting adhesive on the end, or the scored end, and we will be attaching this to our sides. Okay, before you press down, you want to lay everything flat, make sure everything matches, lined up correctly before you press. There we go. Okay, looks pretty good. Okay, now it's time to assemble the second layer. All right, again using our double-sided tape. We want to line everything up before we press down. So what you're trying to do is to line up the side and the bottom to your card base. So here's the side, we're trying to match it, and the bottom, there we go. Looks good, now we press. A lot of times I like to use liquid glue because it gives me some flexible time, a couple seconds, so I can still move things around. But if you want something to be done quickly, because liquid glue takes some time to dry, then you may want to consider the double-sided tape. So now we're going to attach the other side using pretty much the same method, same way. Our crease and the score line help to form our shadow box. So right now we are matching the edge of our back piece to the score line before we press everything down. Okay, now we have the side piece attached. The next thing we're going to do is to attach our layers. I find it easier to press everything down so they lay flat, and you can apply glue that way, and you can line things up with a better view and before you start actually gluing or attaching things together. Because everything's laying flat, I'm going to attach both layers at the same time. Alright, once we expose the adhesive, we want to double check to make sure everything lined up nicely before we press and attach the pieces together. Okay, now we have, you can pretty much see the shape. It's looking nicely. Now if you're making just a box card, you're pretty much done by now. But because we're making a layered shadow box card, we need our top. We need our top frame. And all you need to do now is to attach this frame to the sides. Now, depending on what kind of cardstock you use, the thickness of the paper sometimes will affect your measurement a little bit. Meaning you may need to manipulate your card a little bit to make sure everything will fit together. So it's nice to make, if you're making this the first time, make a skeleton box or a card base so you're familiar with the process and the materials that you're using. Then you can adjust your measurement a little bit. I am using pretty thick cardstock, so as you can see now, it doesn't go all the way. My edge of the top doesn't go all the way to the score line, but I can still manipulate, because paper is paper, you know, I can still manipulate it a little bit. But the end result is still very nice. So no worries. So here I'm going to be pulling that a little bit to make sure that my edge lined up to the score line. All right, there we go. You're done with your basic card base. Now it's time to embellish, color, and make your own design. So I'm showing you two samples here, an arch card and also a rectangle card. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation and try this project with your own dies. So thank you and have fun.